Very good afternoon, everyone. My name is CA Gaurav Garg. Okay. So how are you guys? I think very important section 194R, and now we have guidance or a circular to clarify or to guide us on the application of section 194R. So as you know, more participants are joining. So maybe in next 1 or 2 minutes, I will start the discussion. I have already given, when this section came via budget, we had some interaction, and that video is available on the YouTube. And I personally feel, till now, based on the discussions and based on the guidance, certainly my understanding with regard to section 194 has improved. So I will try to put whatever I have understood about 194R, which is impacting most of the taxpayers. So there are big issues, big challenges, and I personally feel it is a very litigative section, and it will going to put a lot of litigation in the market. And also, if let's say there are two guys, one is the service provider and another is the service recipient. So technically, if service recipient is giving some benefit to the service provider, then the benefit provider needs to deduct the TDS. So Mr. A, let's say, is giving some benefit to Mr. B, then Mr. A is required to deduct TDS under section 194R. So I personally believe either the litigation may either Mr. A would be facing the litigation, and if he is taking the conservative view, then Mr. B might need to face the litigation. So one of them would be facing the litigation. And how section 194R will operate, and the circular number 1222 of 2022, the guidelines which are given, how they will going to operate, we're going to discuss all the finer points of the circular and of section 194R. So let me start with section 194R first, and then we will move on to circular number 12 of 22, which is guidelines on section 194R. My request to all of you, kindly put yourself on a mute mode. If you are not putting yourself on a mute mode, I might need to remove you from the live discussion. In case, if you want to watch this video or this discussion again, it has been streamed live on my YouTube channel. So you can visit my YouTube channel and watch the recording of the discussion. And if any of your friends wants to join, and if you want to share the link, feel free to share the link of my YouTube channel. I can put in the chat box for the benefit of all of you. Just give me a moment. So I have shared my link to my YouTube channel in the chat box. I would request all of you, if you want to watch this discussion again, you may visit to my YouTube channel. And if you want to share a link with someone, you may please feel free to share the link of my YouTube channel. So now let me start the discussion on section 194R, which is applicable from 1st of July 2022. And it got introduced via this Finance Act, and the heading of section 194R is deduction of tax on benefit or perquisite in respect of business or profession. So if you see this whole section 194R, it has got 3 subsections and 1 explanation. The very first section, subsection 1, has got 3 provisos. So subsection 1 consists of the main provision, and then 3 provisos to the main provision. And then we have 2 subsections, which basically gives power to the CBDT what CBDT needs to do in order to remove the difficulty. And the circular number 1222, which we have got, 2022, which we have got, which is issued by the CBDT on 16th June 2022, is basically coming from subsection 2 and subsection 3 of section 194R. And then we have explanation which gives the meaning of the expression person responsible for providing. So let me take you to section 194R. So I trust my screen is visible to all of you. So this is section 194R. You can see, and yes, my voice is audible. Sir, Subramaniam sir, very good afternoon. If you can confirm quality of my voice, quality of the audio, whether it is good or I need to speak slightly a bit louder.
Yes, it is okay, Gaurav.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so we have 194R. As I said, we have 3 subsections, subsection 1, then we have subsection 2, and then we have subsection 3. These are subsection 1, then we have subsection 2, then we have subsection 3, and then we have explanation which gives the meaning of person responsible for providing. And this person responsible for providing is actually given in para 1. So here it is. Correct. So if you read section 194R subsection 1, it says any person responsible for providing to a resident. So one thing is clear that it is only applicable when we are giving benefit or perquisite to a resident. And if we are giving benefit or perquisite to a non-resident, then section 194R is not applicable. We might need to see section 195, but certainly section 194R is not applicable. Section 194R is only applicable when the recipient of benefit or perquisite is a resident. Then it says any person responsible for providing to a resident any benefit or perquisite, whether convertible into money or not, arising from business. And this is, I personally believe, and I think all my friends who are practicing in tax, this is very important, phrase, arising from business or the exercise of profession by such a resident. Such a resident means the resident who is receiving the benefit. Okay, so section 194R, if we read it again, subsection 1, it's basically applicable when a recipient is resident and the benefit or perquisite which we are giving to that resident is actually arising from business or profession of that such resident. So in my view, in my humble view, it is not applicable on employees. So if we are giving some benefit to the employees, then it is not applicable. So it is only applicable when we are giving benefit to someone who is into the business or someone who is into the profession. But if someone is employee, someone is my employee, and I'm giving some benefit or perquisite to my employee, then in my view, section 194R is not applicable, because in such a case, the benefit or perquisite is not arising from business or exercise of a profession by such a resident. Then it says, before providing such benefit or perquisite, as the case may be, to such resident ensure that tax has been deducted in respect of such benefit or perquisite at the rate of 10%, at the rate of, so that the rate of TDS mentioned is 10% of the value or aggregate value, and the threshold which has been mentioned is 20,000. So if we read second proviso to the subsection 1, it says, provided further that the provision of this section shall not apply in a case of resident where the value or aggregate of the value of the benefits or perquisite provided likely to be provided to such resident during the financial year does not exceed 20,000 rupees. So till the value of the perquisite or benefit in aggregate does not exceed 20,000 or till it is 20,000, one is not required to deduct TDS. So two exclusions basically which comes very clearly. I would request everyone to please put yourself on a mute mode. Two exclusions which specifically comes from the reading of para 1 and second proviso to para 1. The first is, that it is only applicable, or rather three, I will say, First is, certainly it is applicable on the resident. So the first exclusion comes that if you are giving benefit or perquisite to your employees, then it is not covered under 194R subsection 1. Second exclusion, if you are giving to someone else, to anyone other than your employee, and if it is arising because of the business exercise of a profession or business, then the limit is 20,000. And if the benefit given in aggregate is more than 20,000, then the provision of section 194R gets attracted, otherwise not. Now, when we say arising from business or the exercise of profession, there is some deliberate attempt, that I'm exercising my profession, and because of the exercise of profession, some benefit or perquisite is coming to me. So if it is only a gratuitous payment, out of the love or out of, a charitable activity, or just like, I have gifted, let's say, some Diwali gifts, then the question would come whether the gift which you are giving to the other person is arising because of the business or because of the exercise of profession. And if the answer is no, then you are not required to deduct TDS. You will not fall within the provisions of section 194R. But if department is able to prove the gift, the goods which you are giving, or the benefit or perquisite which you are giving to another person is not because of the love or the respect, rather it is because of the business or profession which other person is doing, because it is arising from the business or exercise of a profession of the other person to whom you are gifting, then they would like to penalize you, or they would like to say that why you have not deducted the TDS. And the rate of TDS is 10%, and we have seen that the limit is 20,000 rupees, that the benefit or perquisite should be more than 20,000 rupees. Now, if I move further, it says, provided that in case where the benefit or perquisite, as the case may be, wholly in kind or partially in cash or partially in kind, but such part of cash is not sufficient to meet the liability of deduction in respect of whole of such benefit or perquisite, the person responsible for providing such benefit or perquisite shall, before releasing benefit or perquisite, ensure the tax required to be deducted has been paid in respect of the benefit or perquisite. So when initially this section came, we were having some confusion that how the proviso will operate. And we do have a question in the circular, I think question number 9, I think we have, which talks about how to resolve this situation. So we will go to circular, and we will see, how circular wants us to work in how to deal with this proviso when it comes to 194R. But before that, very important point, if we read is wholly in kind or partially in cash and partially in kind. So any layman, if you will read, he will say if anything is purely given in cash, it may not fall within the meaning of benefit or perquisite, because it word says is wholly in kind or partially in cash and partially in kind. So does it cover a situation wherein the benefit is given absolutely in cash, 100% of the benefit which you are giving is in cash? So we have again, circular to take care of this question. But before we move on to circular, and if you see the language of 194R1, which says whether convertible in money or not, arising from business or the exercise of a profession, it is ditto. You will find the same language in 28 subsection 4, and that was the reason many of us were trying to use 28.4 to interpret section 194R. But now when we are moving on to circular, or when the circular has been issued, it seems not only 28.4, but rather we need to read 194R independent of 28.4. So I will come to question, give me, let me complete the circular, and then I think there would be a good time to discuss questions. So this is briefly on 194R. And if you go to, sorry, before I move ahead, I let me go through the last proviso, or the third proviso to 194R, which says, provided that the provision of this section shall not apply to a person being an individual or HUF whose total sales, gross receipt or turnover does not exceed 1 crore rupees or 50 lakh in case of profession. Now this is from the perspective of the one who is giving the benefit or perquisite, and not from the perspective of recipient. So if you are giving the benefit or perquisite, and if you are individual or HUF, and your total sales or receipt of the profession is 1 crore or 50 lakh respectively, is less than 1 crore or 50 lakh respectively, then you get excluded from the definition of benefit provider. Then 194R would not be applicable even if you are benefit provider. But in all other cases, section 194R would be applicable on the provider. As far as recipient is concerned, we have already seen that recipient should be resident. Secondly, recipient should not be an employee. Third, the recipient should be involved in the business or the profession. And fourth, the benefit which we are giving to the recipient, benefit or perquisite which we are giving to the recipient, the value of such benefit or perquisite should be more than 20,000 rupees in total. So this was briefly on section 194R. Now let me move on to the circular number 12. So I hope you are able to see my screen, that this is circular number 12, and circular number 12 has got in total 10 questions to guide us. And if I wish to divide those 10 questions, then I will say, that question number 1 and 9 are basically suggesting action for the deductor of the TDS, or the one who is providing the benefit, that how the provision of 194R will operate. Then we have almost six examples, on the applicability of 194R. So we have question number 2, which talks about kind or cash, whether it is applicable in kind, and if the entire amount is paid in cash, then what will happen. Then we have question number 3, which talks about if the benefit is given in the capital, in the form of capital asset, whether 194R would be applicable or not. Then we have question number 4, which takes care of a scenario wherein you are giving discounts on the product or discounts on the services, vis-a-vis, giving free service or free discount to, to someone. Then we have question number 6, which is applicable, which specifically addresses the case of media influencer, and, we can expand it to other scenarios also. Then we have question number 7, which talks about reimbursement, that whether this 194R would be applicable on reimbursements or not. Then we have question number 8 to take care, of scenario wherein we are holding, let's say, dealer conferences or dealer programs, or, giving trips to the dealers, or maybe to our customers, then 194R would be applicable or not. Then we have question number 5, which is a single question, we can say, which talks about how to do the valuation for the purpose of 194R. And then we have question number 10, which is on the threshold, that the applicability, which is 20,000, and it is applicable from 1st July. So how the provisions would operate. So I think there are two pretty simple questions which we can take immediately. One is the question number 10. Let me take you to question number 10. So this is question number 10. It simply says the law is applicable from 1st July 22. So which means TDS needs to be deducted from 1st July 2022. However, the limit of 20,000 needs to be seen from 1st April. So 1st April of 2022, we need to see the limit of 20,000. So basically, if we have already provided certain benefit, let's say the value of benefit which you have given pre 1st July is, let's say 15,000, 15,000. Then now what is the benefit available, or the limit which is available is 5,000. So after 5,000, the entire amount would become taxable. So let's say after 1st July, you have provided the benefit of 20,000. Before 1st July, you have given the benefit of 15,000. So the entire, the total value of benefit which you have given is 20 plus 15, 35. Till 20,000, there is no deduction. So on 15,000, you need to deduct the TDS and pay it to the government. Next example could be, let's say, till 1st July, you have already provided the benefit of 35,000. After 1st July, you have given the benefit of 10,000. So total benefit which you have given is 35 plus 10, 45,000. But the benefit which is given after 1st July is only 10,000. So TDS would be applicable on 10,000 and not on 35,000, because 35,000 is given pre 1st July 2022, when the provision of TDS was not applicable. However, for the purpose of limit, whatever the benefit we have provided even before 1st July 2022, but after 1st April 2022, needs to be added to compute the threshold limit. And if the total benefit is more than 20,000, then whatever the excess you are giving on that same TDS would be applicable. Any question on question number 10? If you need any clarity on question number 10, we can discuss, or we can move to question number 5, which is on valuation. I think there is no query on question number 10. So let me move on to question number 5, which is on valuation. We are on question number 5. How do value, benefit, or perquisite required to be carried out? So it says the valuation would be based on the fair market value of benefits or perquisite, except in following cases. So they have given 2 specific cases, and if you are not falling in those 2 specific cases, then you will compute the fair market value of benefit or perquisite. So the first case is, if let's say you have bought the air tickets, and if you have given those air tickets to your dealer, then what should be the value? Then the value would be the amount you have incurred to purchase those air tickets. So which means if you are buying certain benefits, or if you're buying certain goods, or if you're buying certain perquisites and giving those benefit or perquisite to the recipient, then in such a case, the value would be the amount incurred by you. This is point number 1. It reads, the benefit or perquisite provider has purchased the benefit or perquisite before providing it to the recipient. In that case, the purchase price shall be the value of such benefit or perquisite. Now, this is, this would be applicable in most of the cases. So, if you are buying gifts and buying the product and giving it to your vendors or to your customers, then the value would be the purchase price which you have paid becomes the value. And this value, for this value, we need to exclude GST. So it says it is further clarified that GST will not be included for the purpose of valuation of benefit or perquisite or TDS under section 194R. This is the first case. Now, in the second case, if you are the benefit which you are giving to your customer or vendor or to any person, benefit or perquisite which you are giving to someone, let's say you are giving the same benefit or perquisite, to your customers also, and you are charging some amount. For example, let's say I've got a resort, in let's say Himachal, and I have given that resort to my clients, let's say 2-night stay in that resort free of cost. So what would be the value of this 2-night stay? So the answer would be what price I'm charging from my customers, when I'm giving it to some independent customers. And if the price is, let's say 10,000 per night, then the value of perquisite or benefit given to my customers will be 10,000 per night into 2, which comes to 20,000. So 2 cases, which 1 and 2, in 2, the benefit or perquisite provider manufactures such items. Perquisite, then the price that it charges to its customer for such items shall be the value for such benefit or perquisite. So 2 cases, when 1, I am purchasing and giving it to my vendor, customer, or anyone, then my purchase price becomes the value of the benefit. Second case, I am providing the same goods or benefit to my customer at some X price, then that X price becomes the value of the benefit. In cases other than this, then the value would be fair market value of the benefit or perquisite, whatever we are giving will become the value for the purpose of TDS. Secondly, very importantly, while computing the value for the purpose of TDS, we need to exclude GST portion if there is any GST portion in that purchase price or in that sale price. Any question on question number 5? Any point which any of you wishes to discuss? Good afternoon, Yashu bhai. Membership number का अपन क्या करेंगे? It is not CPR program. No CPRs.
गौरव जी,
हाँ जी.
इसमें से एक बात बताओ. If someone has resort and he is giving some 2-night stay to someone at free of cost, तो उसमें जो value for TDS purpose we consider the room rent for the purpose of TDS. But वो जो value है, will that qualify for income tax deduction for tax purposes?
Income tax deduction to whom?
Like, can I claim that as a business expense? क्योंकि वो मेरा perquisite, since I'm providing some perquisite to my customer or business partners, तो TDS तो मैं उस पे काट के जमा करा रहा हूँ.
आपका तो कोई एक्सपेंस नहीं है, सामने वाले की इनकम मानेंगे.
तो वो TDS जो मैं बुक करूंगा वो एक तो लाइबिलिटी हो गई, तो डेबिट क्या होगा फिर?
See, let's say you are only asking about the TDS portion and not the value portion.
For the purpose of deduction TDS, I come to the value in terms the value which at tariff which I'm charging to the third party. At that tariff, I will deduct the TDS and will deposit the same with government.
Okay. So there is a specific question on this, question number 9. We can go to question number 9 and we can resolve, or if you can wait for a few minutes. Okay. I will come to this. The answer is given in question number 5 of the circular.
Okay.
Any question on question number 5? On the valuation.
The valuation, it will be on the basis of the room rent, the tariff rate, or the rates of charge on that for the particular day to other customers. Because in the hotel, the rates will always vary from person to person, depending upon the rates which you have anyway then negotiated with others for customers, everything. So I believe it should be on your for the tariff rate.
Sir,
point, Gaurav.
It specifically mentions the price that it charges to its customers.
But in the customers, then the rate will be then different. No, see, according to the rates are negotiated for each, for the company, it will be different. It will not be for standard.
Correct.
See, anyway, foresee the problem actually. I mean, say,
Yeah,
this is a practical problem.
This
Then it can be only on the declared for the tariff at best.
Yeah, but the word that has been used is the price that it charges.
Yeah, so, MRP. See, if it is MRP, like for the products, it can be, MRP can be there. But in the case of a room, then the rates will be for the different according to the customers, the negotiation for various factors. It will not be for the standardized for all the customers across. Then we'll have the problem there actually.
I agree, sir. I am in complete agreement with you. And I think probably my transfer pricing skills will come to rescue, that what price would be the best price to take for FMV. But it clearly, in my view, it clearly talks about charges to its customers. So let's say if some institutional customer is there, we may not be able to compare the price given to institutional customer, with the price given to, some individual. So maybe price which generally I am charging during that period, because the price in the hotel industry may vary, from January to December. So the price which is, generally charged during that period may be taken, or let's say maybe the average of such prices. Because in such a case, let's say, if I have given property in the month of April and which is in Jaipur, and generally you will not find customer visiting Jaipur in the month of April or May. But, the price in May or April would be on a lower side. So maybe the price which is available during that period to individuals can be taken. And if there are multiple prices, then maybe the average of such prices can be taken. This is
yeah, I understand. The problem I wanted to highlight is it is not easy.
Yeah, it is not.
This will be also the subject to the litigation actually.
Absolutely.
Whatever rate I take, then the tax department can always challenge that rate. So on this account also you will have the litigation actually. There is no standard yardstick which has been really for prescribed. So this would anyway for the post-sale problem.
Absolutely.
Gaurav, is it applicable on the many times we are getting promotional call that we will give you 2-night stay free in our resorts, and that also if the value goes above 20,000, will it be applicable on that company also?
See, in my view, if let's say you are getting a promotional call, then you are getting that promotional call as a customer, and this benefit or perquisite is not arising you because of your business or because of the exercise of profession.
Okay.
So because the very important condition which we saw in 194R is that the benefit or perquisite should arise from the business or from the exercise of a profession. So apparently the answer is no.
Okay, thanks. It's sorted now.
Okay. Any other question on valuation before I move ahead? So let me move to now question number 1 and 2. Question number 1 and 9, which is basically is guidance, that how the provisions will operate. So question number 1, and it is very interesting question. It is necessary that the person, providing benefit or perquisite needs to check if the amount is taxable under clause 4 of section 28 of the Act before deducting tax under 194R of the Act. So if you read the answer, it says they start with no. Then they go and say, if you see section 195, it specifically mentioned that the income chargeable to tax or the sum is chargeable under the Income Tax Act. But there is no words like this or no phrase is there in 194R. So when it comes to 194R, so the law or the circular says whatever the benefit you are giving, you must simply deduct the TDS at the rate of 10%. So let's read this. Very interesting. The deductor is not required to check whether the amount of benefit or perquisite that he is providing would be taxable in the hands of recipient under clause 4 of section 28 of the Act. The amount could be taxable under any other section like 41(1), etc. Section 194R of the Act cast an obligation on the person responsible, for providing any benefit or perquisite to a resident to deduct tax at 10%. There is no further requirement to check whether the amount is taxable in the hands of the recipient or under which section it is taxable. So if you read this para, I think we can, you might, once the session is over, you can go through the other two paras. But if you stick to para one puts a lot of emphasis on benefit and perquisite. Para 1 says, if you are providing the benefit, if you are giving the perquisite, you should deduct the TDS. Whether it is chargeable or not, it is not your worry. Under which section it would be chargeable, it is not your worry. You must simply you must simply deduct TDS at the rate of 10% when you are giving benefit or perquisite. Apparently, I personally feel the department should have mentioned about, the provision which talks about arising from business or the exercise of a profession, which they have not mentioned in para 1. So unless we need to read along with 194R1, which specifically says that the benefit or perquisite must arise, from the business or exercise of the profession. And I can find this language, somewhere slightly above, not in question, but I think when they were discussing the basic provision, they did talk about this line, which is here, that should arise either from carrying out of business or exercise of profession by such resident. So, the friend who asked the question that if, we are getting a promotional call for the free stay in some resort, then if you read only question number 1, then one gets a feeling because it is a benefit and the provider need not check whether it is taxable or not. So do I need to deduct TDS at the rate of 10%? Probably the answer would be yes. But if you move slightly up, and if you come here, but should arise either from carrying out of business or from exercise of a profession by such resident, the answer would come no, because they are talking about that it should arise from the business or it should from the profession. Also, in one more point, they have mentioned that there should not be any TDS. Let me take you to page number 3. Yeah. So if you read this line, they say the provision of section 194R of the Act shall not apply if the benefit or perquisite is being provided to a government entity like government hospital, not carrying on the business or profession. So read this, not carrying on business or profession. So in, we will discuss question number 4, but towards the end of the question number 4, they indicate, the guidance, which is the indication which guidance is giving that if somebody is not carrying on business or profession, then you are not required to deduct TDS, even if it is a government entity. So the crux is, if you are giving benefit to the government entity who is not carrying business or profession, you are not required to deduct TDS. If you are giving benefit to government entity who is carrying business or profession, then you are required to deduct the TDS. So I think any question on question number 1, any further discussion you want on question number 1, I think I am very clear. To summarize, if I am giving benefit or perquisite to my retail customer, in the sense, who is not involved in business or profession, who is simply my customer, I'm not required to deduct the TDS because he's not involved in business or profession. But if I'm giving benefit or perquisite to my vendors, to my customers who are into business, for example, let's say my customer may be my distributor and distributor might be reselling the product. So if I'm giving some benefit to my distributor, who is in turn my customer, then I think 194R would be applicable. Any questions on this question number 1? Now let me take you to question number 9, which is on how the provision of TDS would operate. That I think someone asked the question that if I'm deducting the TDS, let's say the benefit is 20,000, I'm deducting TDS 2,000. So what will happen to 2,000? So 194 R, the question number 9, we have section 194R provides that if the benefit or perquisite in kind or partially in kind and cash is not sufficient to meet TDS, then the person responsible for providing such benefit or perquisite is required to ensure that tax required to be deducted has been paid in respect of benefit or perquisite before releasing the benefit or perquisite. How can such person be satisfied that tax has been deposited? So in nutshell, what they are saying that, they are envisaging three conditions. First condition is, let's say, the benefit which you are giving in cash, absolutely cash. You can simply deduct TDS and deposit. There is no, discussion needed on that. Whether benefit would cover cash benefit or not, this is a separate question we're going to discuss. But assuming, that all three conditions, all three cases, first cash, second cash, second is, let's say, only kind, and third is cash plus kind. So in first situation, if you're deducting TDS, no problem. Second, if it is only kind, then what will happen? If it is only in kind, then you have got two options. First option, you may ask the benefit recipient to kindly deposit the TDS as advance TDS, as advance tax, take declaration and challan from the same, and fill the details in your form 26Q. Second option, you may gross up, because now if you're deducting the TDS, that is also a benefit which you are giving to the recipient. So now the total benefit would be 20 plus 2, 2,000, 22,000. Probably you need to gross up, and based on the gross up, the TDS amount which you're depositing would also be seen as benefit to the recipient. So the total value of benefit would be benefit in kind plus TDS. Third situation.
Third option for the Gaurav is that you can ask for the money from the recipient and then pay the TDS in advance.
Yeah, that can also be done. That can also be done. Third scenario would be when you are giving in cash and kind, but let's say cash is not sufficient. Then whatever portion of the cash is not sufficient, that you can, as suggested by Subramaniam sir, you can take it from your, the benefit recipient and deposit the TDS, or you can ask the person to deposit the TDS and take challan. So all three positions, you can follow. This is what is given in question number 9.
Gaurav ji, I have some doubt. Practically, it is not possible for taking this challan and whether he will deposit and you will mention. And it is not better to gross up and pay?
Yeah, you can do that, sir. You can gross up and pay. I said both the options are available.
But the first option is quite difficult. It is not possible. Practically, it is not possible.
Yeah, one may take cash or bank and then deposit. So law is giving you all the options, whatever you want to exercise, depending upon your relationship with the benefit recipient. One may opt for the same.
Okay.
Gaurav ji, in such case, 2,000 would be the TDS or 2,200?
So we need to gross up, sir. Not 2,000 would be the TDS. In my view, we need to do the gross up and do the computation.
That means in your case, 20,000 plus 2,000 is equal to 22, and then 2,200 is the TDS.
No, sir. Just gross up karte hain, 20 would be now the 0.9, 90%. So 20 divided by 0.9, whatever the benefit will come, total value will come. Us pe you will deduct the TDS.
Okay.
Anil Kapoor ji ne dal diya 2222. So I don't have the calculator, but it should be 20 divided by 0.9. I think Anil ji must have written correct answer. So any further query on how the provision of TDS will operate? I think we are clear now. Let's move on to more interesting part of circular, which gives the examples. So the first is question number 2, which is on cash or kind. So we know, there are various judgments on section 28.4, and the apex court in the matter of Mahindra clearly said that 28.4 is not applicable when there is benefit in cash. So 19284 is only applicable when something is in kind or kind plus cash, but not absolutely when something is in cash, it would not be applicable. But as far as circular is concerned, it talks about that even if something is in cash, then also the provision of 194R would apply. And interestingly, subsection 3 of section 194R makes it mandatory that if any guidelines are issued, it is mandatory for the taxpayer and the tax department to follow. So with this background, let's read, and I'm sorry to understand how they're reading cash in the provision, because the provision does not talk about cash. So they have done this is the first proviso to section 194R. And if you read the first proviso, it says, provided that in case where the benefit or perquisite, as the case may be, is wholly in kind, or partially in cash or partially in kind, is wholly in kind or partially in cash and partially in kind, but such part of cash is not sufficient to meet the liability of deduction of tax in respect of whole of such benefit or perquisite, the person responsible for providing blah blah blah. Now if you come, they say this proviso clearly indicates the intent of the legislature that there could also be a situation where benefit or perquisite is in cash, or the benefit or perquisite is in kind, or partially in cash and partially in kind. I'm not clear from where they have come up with these words, is in cash, because the benefit or perquisite is in kind or partially in cash or partially in kind. We can certainly read this line in the above provisions also. We can read here also, is wholly in kind or partially in cash and partially in kind, is in kind or partially in cash and partially in kind. But these words, is in cash, is not written in the first proviso. So I don't know, I feel they are reading what is not written in the proviso. So if the provisions, if the perquisite or benefit given in absolutely in cash, then this kind of scenario is not mentioned in the first proviso. The language of first proviso is actually coming from 28.4, and if somebody interprets 28.4, we have Supreme Court judgment which clearly says 28.4 is not applicable in case of cash. So now coming to question what one should do. So following the conservative principle, if you do not want to invite litigation, then even if you are paying benefit, even if you are giving benefit or perquisite in cash, you should deduct TDS under section 194R. Hope I'm clear on question number 2. Now let's move on to question number 3. Question number 3 is again simple. It says when the benefit or perquisite is in form of capital asset, the answer is yes, even if the benefit is in form, kind do includes capital asset. So if you are giving benefit in the form of capital asset, then certainly it will invite application of 194R.
Please give example of capital asset.
So let's say, I'm coming to you regularly for giving you tax opinion, and because of one of my opinion, you are able to save a lot of cash and avoid litigation. And out of because you are feeling happy, you gifted me a car. So that car which you gifted me is the benefit which you have given me in the form of capital asset, and you are required to deduct TDS on the value of car. Am I clear, sir?
Yes, yes.
So I should wait for car or not? I am ready to pay the TDS amount, and I am ready to give you the TDS challan also if you want. So now question number 4.
You should be able to save that much.
I agree. We'll certainly come up with this saving also one day. So now question number 4, and what disturbs me is the language of answer. So question number 4 says whether sale discount, cash discount, and rebate, which we are giving to our customers, fall within the definition of benefit or perquisite or not. And if yes, certainly one needs to deduct the TDS. So let's read. It says sales discounts, cash discounts, or rebate allowed to customer from the listed retail price represent lesser realization of sale price itself. To that extent, purchase price or customer is also reduced. Logically, these are also benefit, though related to sale purchase, since TDS under section 194R of the Act is applicable on all forms of benefit perquisite, taxes required to be deducted. So, when I'm giving sales discount, and this circular is issued by the CBDT. So just think, even if you are giving discount, CBDT wants to treat the same as benefit. Whether they have treated or not, that's a separate issue. But their mind, as per their thought process, if we are giving discount, then it is a benefit. However, it is seen that subjecting these to tax deduction would put seller to difficulty. To remove such difficulty, it is clarified that no tax is required to be deducted under 194R of the Act on sales discount, cash discounts, and rebate allowed to customers. So apparently, TDS is not applicable when you are giving something on discount to your customer. Then it further says there could be another situation where a seller is selling its item from its stock and trade to buyer. The seller offers 2 items free with purchase of 10. Then also they say we are not required to deduct TDS. It is like 2+2 offer, 2+3 offer, 3+2 offer, or 10+2 offer, whatever. If you are giving something, basically they are saying it is like a discount. So if there is a 2+2 offer, then you are giving 4 items on let's say for ₹200, then per item cost is 50. You are actually giving the discount, and when we are giving the discount, 194R is not applicable. But if we are giving something absolutely free, then it would be applicable. Says similarly, this relaxation should not be extended to other benefit provided by the seller in connection with the sales. Let's read this. It says, hence to remove difficulty, it is clarified that on the above facts, no tax is required to be deducted under section 194R of the Act. That is when we are giving the discount. It is clarified the situation is different when free samples are given, and above relaxation would not apply to a situation of free samples. So if you are giving free samples to your normal customers, let's say to your retail customers, I still believe 194R would not be applicable. For example, let's say you have opened a retail showroom, or some big showroom or shop in Delhi, and you have started doing the business of perfumes, or let's say nuts and cashew nuts, and whosoever is coming to your shop, you are giving some sample perfumes or sample nuts which they can enjoy. So now it is a free sample, but the question is whether one should deduct the 194R. First of all, the condition of 20,000 is there, but before that condition comes, because that condition is given, I think, in proviso 2. Before that condition comes of 20,000, there is another condition that it should arise, such benefit or perquisite should arise by exercising business, by business or by exercise of a profession, arising from business or exercising of profession. So the question comes, if I'm giving you free sample, are you doing some business? Am I giving you free sample because of your business? Am I giving you free sample because of your profession? If the answer is no, then 194R, in my opinion, is not applicable. But if, let's say, the other person is doctor and I'm giving free medicine sample to them, and that is a situation wherein they want to put that in a tax net. So if you're giving it to your normal customers, which is not arising because of the business or profession, then no tax, no TDS on free samples. Otherwise, yes, there would be a situation wherein we need to deduct the TDS. Similarly, this relaxation should not be extended to other benefits provided by the seller in connection with its sale. To illustrate, the following are some of the examples of benefit on which tax is required to be deducted under section 194R of the Act. When a person gives incentives other than discount and rebate in form of cash or kind, such as car, TV, computer, gold coin, mobile phone, etc. Again, but to whom? If you are giving to your retail customers, if you are giving to retail, you are not giving because of their business or profession, I think TDS would not be applicable. Otherwise, TDS would be applicable. When a person sponsors a trip for the recipient and his or her relative upon achieving certain targets. So to your distributors, you have given that if you will able to sell, let's say 1,000 mobile in a month, I will give you free trip to Hong Kong. Then in such a case, whether the recipient is your distributor or the relatives, whomsoever, then in such a case, certainly it would become taxable. When a person provides free ticket for an event, let's say there is IPL going on, there is some, football matches going on, and you are giving to your customers, to your vendors or to your suppliers or to your customers, free ticket because of their business or because of profession, then in such a case, that ticket which you have given or a discounted ticket which you have given may fall within the definition of benefit or perquisite. When a person
Gaurav, sorry to interrupt. If in case we are giving free ticket to our distributors to again give it to further customers and retailer and customers, and suppose they are not giving it, then in that case.
So if you are giving it to the distributor, then you need to deduct the TDS. It will become the income of distributor. And if distributor is giving further to their customer, then they will, depending upon the facts of the case, either they will claim an expense or it will become their income. So department wants ki whenever we are giving something like this, it should actually hit the button. It should become a line item. And if distributor is giving the same, passing on the same to the customer, he will claim an expense, no issue. But if
we are not giving it as a perk, we are giving it to send it to, since we cannot give directly to the end customers, we are sending it to distributors to give it to customers. So in that case, we are not giving perks to them.
No, in your books, whose name you are booking? So if in
suppose I am the manufacturer of mobile and I have different distributors in different areas, and there are end customers to the distributors. I am giving IPL tickets to the distributors to give it to the end customers for mobile who are purchasing mobile greater than 10,000 or 15,000. So it is not, we are not giving it perks to the distributors in this case. So will we be able to, it will be applicable or not?
Okay, so let's say, if your distributors are only acting as a pass-through entity, I'm just, trying to build up an example. Let's say your distributor gives you the customer list. We will give a IPL ticket to these 5 customers, and you have all the details of those 5 customers. And now you are issuing IPL ticket to those 5 customers, correct? But you are using distributor as a postman. So it will go to the distributor and from distributor to those 5 customers. Correct. I think then probably we can take a call that now I am not required to deduct the TDS, or I'm not required to deduct the TDS on account of distributor. Whether I need to deduct the TDS on account of customer or not can be a question, depending upon whether the customer is a ultimate retail customer or is it arising because of the business or profession of the customer. That could be the question. But let's say if I'm giving prices to the IPL ticket to the distributor and distributor has got its own way of distributing the tickets and I do not have any detail, then probably we may face problem. Right? Yeah. Am I clear?
Yeah, clear.
Gauravji, one more doubt. Little bit practical. Suppose we are giving this IPL ticket to customer, you will have to deduct tax under section 194R. But can you tell me whose PAN number you will mention in that while you will file return?
Customer.
Customer
PAN number.
Suppose you are giving, I am giving the IPL ticket to a salesperson of a particular company whether I'll mention the PAN number of the company of that person.
Sir, we have one example in this only with regard to hospital. Let's take that example and it will clarify, couple of questions. Give me 1 minute. Let me move on to that example. It is further clarified that these benefit perquisite may be used by owner, director, employee of the recipient entity or their relatives who in their individual capacity may not be carrying on business or exercise of profession. However, the tax is required to be deducted by the person in the name of recipient entity since the usage by owner, director, employee, relative is by virtue of their relation with the recipient entity. And in substance, the benefit perquisite has been provided by the person to the recipient entity. So in substance, we need to see. So if I'm giving to the employee of my distributor, let's say, then this para suggests that in substance, you are giving to the distributor and not to the employee. Employee may have done well, but the agreement, the privity of contract, or in substance, it is the benefit which you are giving. It needs to be seen from a distributor perspective, and you will take a PAN of distributor and then you will going to create TDS on the name of distributor. Now let's see this example, wherein the medicine is given free of cost to the doctors, how the guidelines wants us to work. To illustrate, the free medicine sample may be provided by a company to a doctor who is an employee of a hospital. The TDS under section 194R of the Act is required to be deducted by the company in the hands of the hospital as the benefit perquisite is provided to the doctor on account of him being the employee. So this what, if you are giving IPL ticket to the employee of your distributor, then going by this para, it says the employee is of the distributor and now you need to deduct the TDS on the name of distributor. Thus, in substance, the benefit perquisite is provided to the hospital. The hospital may subsequently treat this benefit perquisite as the perquisite given to its employees if the person who used it is his employee under section 17 of the Act. Now, they will take it to section 17 and deduct TDS under section 192. But your responsibility from your perspective, we will take it as a benefit given to the distributor. Thus, ultimately, the amount would get taxed in the hands of the employee and not in the hands of the hospital. But as far as me is concerned, the chain would be from manufacturer to the distributor and from distributor to the employee. Then it further says, I would request yourself on a mute mode. Please remain on a mute mode. Hospital can get credit of tax deducted under section 194R of the Act by furnishing its tax return. It is further clarified the threshold of 20,000 rupees in second proviso to subsection 1 of 194R of the Act is also required to be seen. Clearly, we are aware of this. Then, if let's say doctor is the consultant, doctor is not the employee, but doctor is working as a consultant in the hospital, then what will happen? Similarly, the tax is required to be deducted under section 194R of the Act if the benefit or perquisite is provided to a doctor who is working as consultant in the hospital. In this case, the benefit or perquisite provided may be deducted tax under section 194R of the Act with the hospital as recipient, and then hospital may again deduct tax under 194R of the Act for providing the same benefit or perquisite to the consultant. So we need to see, if let's say the doctor is working in its own clinic and then we are giving some benefit to some samples to the doctor, then we can directly book the same on the name of the doctor. But if doctor is working in some hospital as a consultant but not as an employee, then we will take that hospital as the main entity and going to book TDS on the name of hospital, and then hospital will further going to bill it to the doctor. Any questions on this point? Any question on para 4?
I have some small doubt. You said 194R is not applicable to discount and rebate.
Yeah.
What about incentive? Whether it will be applicable to, suppose we give incentive to our.
That's what happens, sir. In some industries, no, rebate and incentive are used interchangeably. Somebody calls it a rebate, somebody calls it an incentive. The same thing.
So if you are giving cash incentive, 194R would be applicable. Let's say to my distributors, instead of giving discount, I have started giving the incentive. Then 194R is applicable.
Then what about 194H?
194H.
There are a whole lot of other conditions, Gaurav, on that.
Brokerage and commission.
Relationship and all that.
So I think if you are seeing it as a commission, then you might take it to 194H. But if it is not as a commission, then we will stick to 194R. Shall I open 194H?
No. You carry on.
No need, sir.
Then what is the difference between this rebate and incentive? You are saying rebate, it is 194R is not applicable to rebate and discount.
194H is a very specific section.
For brokerage and commission.
Yeah. So if something is falling under 194R is very wide section. So let's say if I am giving, and see commission and brokerage is, we cannot define every cash incentive as commission or brokerage.
Sir, I have a query. Sir, say my tax consultant came in my city and stay for 2 days, and he reimbursed the bill in my company, and I pay him. I pay the reimbursed amount after deducting TDS.
So we will discuss. We are moving on to reimbursement question. We have specific question to take care of reimbursement. So kindly allow me to go to reimbursement question.
Gaurav, I have a question.
Please.
If there is company, if company gives a car to its employee as gift, so what would you do?
तो employee को तो 17 में लेके जाएंगे ना, section 17, not 194R. 194R is not applicable on employees.
Okay.
Sir, tax consultant is not the employee of the company.
Tax consultant is not the employee of the company, certainly.
And sir, the company gave him a car.
Car for what purpose? मतलब car as a gift या for the use?
Car as gift.
And 194R is applicable.
And 194R is applicable. Sir, what is the use of deducting TDS and on what amount? Sir, he is enjoying with car and company is deducting TDS.
No. See, the point is, who is asking this question? AJ.
No, I was saying because he's enjoying the benefit, that's why this is required.
Yeah.
The question was why is required when one is enjoying the benefit? It is essentially for that why TDS is applicable.
Correct. So I think question was asked by Dipali. So I just closed my screen. So basically, Dipali, if let's say I'm a consultant and if you are giving me a car, so ideally the car should be, I should treat car as my income because I have received because of the exercise of profession. So what is happening? Many people are not taking that car in the account of income and not paying TDS on the same. So now the law is amended and now the law is putting responsibility on the person who will be claiming the expense. So now the company who has given me the car would be claiming the expense. And if you wish to claim the expense, because the expense would be hitting their P&L, so they must deduct the TDS. So whenever they will deduct the TDS now under 194R, the same will get reflected in my, form in my TDS report that yes, 26 says, that yes, the company has paid TDS on the same and it is appearing in my income. Now I need to pay the income tax on my total income. The information will go to the income tax office and I would be required to pay tax on such income. So this is the purpose of 194R, because as rightly said by AJ, that the purpose is that if somebody is enjoying some benefit in Perquisite, he should pay the proper taxes on the same.
Gaurav, if I am offering a free stay at the hotel to the income tax officer, then
Sir, CBDT circular is silent on this.
The income tax officer is not exercising the profession. No, he's an employee, so it will not be covered anyway. For the government is for the not for profit. So anyway, it will not be covered like anyway for hospital.
I don't agree to it. It might be, first of all, if you would like to actually do this, then one should not do this. This is not allowed. And if you are doing, it might be treated as vocation, because he's not your employee, correct? And
but excess of the profession is not there for Gaurav. He's an employee, so you cannot say it's excess of the profession or vocation.
So he is also not receiving the benefit.
I'm saying
profession, business or profession.
Not business transaction.
I think out of syllabus question is.
Other thing is for the Gaurav, on the issue of the expenditure, which is this for the claim and also the TDS entries. I think the amount, whether for paid in for the cash or in kind, it will be expense in the hands of the deductor, actually, total amount. Then only the TDS you can anyway withhold. No? Whether you then pay it in cash or in kind, that will be expense allowable under section 37. That is what the viewpoint.
Yeah,
so one of the questions which was raised was, you said that only it will be the income of the recipient, but not expense of the payer. That will not be the case. Because the moment you anyway provide any for benefit, either in the cash or in kind, it will be expense in the hands of the provider, which will be allowable as expenditure under 37.
Sir, in that case, when I was giving the free stay, so when I'm giving the free stay, what expense I'm incurring?
No, see, not for the hotel. Okay, in the case of the hotel, we'll really come to that. But in general, I'm really for the talking of.
In general, let's say if I'm buying some product and giving it as a perquisite or benefit to some of my vendor or customer, then it could be my expense for sure.
Yeah.
So the question was on the free stay in the hotel.
Then at least to the extent of the TDS, then it would be expenditure. No?
Correct.
To the extent of the TDS, it would be expense which I have to account for expense actually.
TDS portion which I am paying on behalf of the benefit recipient would be considered as my expense.
Expenditure. That's what I wanted to just clarify.
And also, let's say during the stay, if that person enjoys some free food, then the cost of that free food would also be considered as my expense.
That free food anyway, it will be expenditure automatically.
Yes. So whatever expense I'm incurring,
that will
the benefit I will get.
Automatically, it will be already covered anyway.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Gaurav, our company organizing the dealer meet every year. It is in that dealer came and we showcase our product. Dealers came on the basis of his previous year business performance. And on that they stay 2 day or 3 day in hotels, and we show our.
We are moving. We will be dealer question. I would be taking at the last. We are left with 3 more situations: return of asset, reimbursement, and dealer conflict. Just give me a few moments. I'm going to question number 8. So question number 8 is on the basically dealer side. So now it's a small question. Question number 6 basically on the media influencer, and it highlights a very important question. In this case, they are saying, many a times you give product to the media influencer, they uses the product and build a video, put it on a YouTube or any other social media. So if they are returning the asset back to the company, then it is not a benefit or perquisite. But if they are keeping the asset with them, so let's say if I have given a washing machine to the media influencer, and after using the washing machine, they are putting up a video. But once the video is uploaded, if they are not returning my washing machine back to me, then the washing machine given to media influencer would be treated as benefit to the person, and I need to deduct the TDS under section 194R. Whereas if they are returning me machine after putting the video, then 194R would not be applicable. So very important question. If I'm very important concept, So benefit or perquisite means something which he is able to consume, whether it's a free stay or a property or something like that, or goods. So if I'm giving some goods for my own purpose, because he needs to prepare a video and that's why they want to understand, how this asset works, then it is not a benefit or perquisite to someone else. Now let's move on to question number 7, which is on reimbursement. Very important question, very debatable. We have seen a lot of discussion on question number 7.
One small doubt. This is written regarding product only. If suppose services, then what will happen?
How you will return the service?
He will not return the service. We have provided the service. In that case, what will happen?
So let's say, for example, let's say, sir, there is a what service? Let's say there is a new restaurant which has been opened, correct? And now, if I am visiting restaurant one time to check the food and to eat the food, and to based on which I would be forming my view, then one may say that it is not the benefit to the media influencer, rather it is the very essential part of forming the opinion. Probably, in my view, I think 194R should not be applicable in that case. Because he is coming because of me, because of the restaurant, because the restaurant wants the opinion.
Sir, one query is here.
Okay, clear.
Sir, one query is here.
And I must say, it seems to be debatable, but yes, the threshold of 20,000 we need to keep in mind. That also operates. Yeah.
Sir, company provides two days stay to any vendor, and perquisite means not involved any cash, and vendor not make any expenses in cash, and hotel bill cuts in the bill name of the company. Then hotel takes the TDS credit. And what is the use of 194H?
I think we are mixing up the question. So let me complete question number 7 and question number 8. Then I would take other questions. So let's remain on the topic for a moment, and then we can have open house question. So question number 7 is on reimbursement. It says whether reimbursement of out-of-pocket expenses incurred by service provider in the course of rendering service is a benefit or perquisite. And in nutshell, what they are saying, let's say if I am a consultant and I am visiting my client's place and raising bill, which includes my professional fee plus reimbursement of travel expenditure. In such a case, the clients need to deduct the TDS on the reimbursement portion also. So on a professional fee, the reimbursement, the TDS would be under, let's say, 194J. On the reimbursement, the TDS would be on 194R. And even if I'm raising two bills separately, one bill for the professional fee and another bill separately for the reimbursement, even if I'm attaching, let's say, my air tickets, then also TDS would be applicable. Very clear. Second case, wherein my clients book tickets for, they have asked, let's say, the airline agency to book a ticket, the invoice is coming on the name of client. In such a case, then one is not required to deduct the TDS. So it is only applicable in case of reimbursement. So if my client is reimbursing my expense, reimburse me some expenditure, then TDS would be applicable. But if my client is incurring some expenditure, then it would not be treated as benefit under section 194R. So let's read the answer. Any expenditure which is liability of a person carrying out business profession, if met by the other person, is in fact benefit perquisite provided by the second person to the first person. Let us assume that consultant is rendering service to person X for which he is receiving consultancy fee. In the course of rendering that service fee, he has to travel to different city from the place where he is regularly carrying on business or profession. For this purpose, he pays for boarding and lodging expenses incurred exclusively for the purposes of rendering the service to X. Ordinarily, the expenditure incurred by consultant is part of his business expenditure, which is deductible from the fee that he receives from the company X. In such a case, the fee received by consultant is his income, and expenditure incurred on travel is his expenditure deductible from such income in computing his total income. Now, if the travel expenditure is met by company X, it is the benefit or perquisite provided by X to the consultant. However, sometimes the invoice is obtained in the name of X. And accordingly, if paid by the consultant is reimbursed by X. In this case, since the expense paid by the consultant for which reimbursement is made is incurred wholly and exclusively for purposes of rendering of service to X, and the invoice is in the name of X, then the reimbursement made by X, being the service recipient, will not be considered as benefit or perquisite for the purpose of section 194R of the Act. So if the invoice is on the name of client and then reimbursement is happening, then no TDS. But if invoice is on the name of consultant and client is reimbursing certain portion of the invoice as a travel expenditure or a boarding and lodging expenditure, then certainly there is TDS. So what practically consultants can do, they can ask their client to book tickets, book hotels, get out of this TDS position. But if they are themselves incurring, I think then TDS would be applicable. Any question on reimbursement?
गौरव भाई इसमें एक छोटा सा था जो लास्ट पैरा है, if the invoice is not in the name of X means company and the payment is made by the company directly or reimbursement, it is the benefit obli perquisite provided by the X to the consultant for which deduction is required to made under section 194R. मीन्स कि अगर कंपनी ने भी डायरेक्टली बुकिंग किया है, जैसे ए टिकट है, ए टिकट तो नेचुरली बात है कंसल्टेंट के नाम पे आएगी, वो कंपनी के नाम पे आएगी नहीं, तो क्या पोजीशन रहेगी भाई?
वो बेसिकली क्या होता है, लेट्स से इफ यू आर बुकिंग थ्रू अ ट्रैवल एजेंट, तो ट्रैवल एजेंट विल रेज इनवॉइस ऑन यू.
और जनरली क्या होता है भाई कि ना कंपनी डायरेक्टली खुद ही बुक करते हैं टू सेव द बेनिफिट्स. कुछ उसमें जो होता है अपने क्रेडिट कार्ड से एम्प्लॉइज लोग बुक कर देते हैं, जनरली होता है ये काम उस तरह में.
But उसमें भी then the TDS applicable होगा for Gaurav. Even if the company that books the ticket for the directly, then also the benefit will be there. The only issue is that means in all these cases now in the future expenses has to be incurred by this consultant and then the claimed as a reimbursement from the company. It doesn't say if this the ticket is in the book by the company, then TDS is not applicable. It doesn't say, it is for the silent.
Yeah. So I repeat what I said. If let's say I took a situation wherein you are going to let's say a travel agent and travel agent is raising invoice on you, then we will say that invoice has come on the name of the company and then it is not a benefit under 194R.
Why? No, why do you say that? It is not mentioned there. It only says if the invoice is then paid by the consultant, then it is different matter. It doesn't say if invoice for the paid by the company, it is not a benefit. It is not for flowing out of the circular.
So they are saying the invoice is obtained in the name of X.
Sometimes, yeah. And accordingly, if paid by the consultant, it doesn't say if then the paid by the company, it is not a benefit.
No.
That analogy you cannot draw.
No. What, sir? Basically, the question number 7 is with regard to reimbursement.
Agreed.
Now, reimbursement will happen in 2 cases. One, I have incurred the expenditure, invoice is on my name, and I want to take reimbursement of these expenditures.
Yes.
Right?
So as you said, then the TDS will have to be for
TDS will be applicable.
194R.
There is no debate, no discussion on this.
No discussion on this, right?
Second, invoice is on the name of my client, but I have paid for the expenditure.
Right.
Correct?
Right.
In such a case, again, I will claim a reimbursement from my client.
Okay.
Now, because the invoice is on the name of client, it could have happened that he could have paid directly to the company, directly to the vendor.
Vendor, right?
Now, instead of paying directly to the vendor, I have paid that money and now I want to recover that money.
Okay.
So in this case, they are saying there would not be.
No, but it is not for the mentioned there. What I'm only trying to say is it is for silent on this issue.
No.
What,
sir, it is there, sir. The question is with regard to reimbursement.
Agreed. So I'm saying the situation is whether I incur or it is for the bond by the client, it is a for Perquisite. Do you agree or not? You cannot say only the issue is if it is for the bond by the client, it is not a Perquisite. If I pay, it is a Perquisite. That cannot be the logic for Gaurav.
Sir, I think when it is billed to the company, no, it is rendered wholly and exclusively for the purposes of rendering services. Like
Agreed.
that, it is implying.
Agreed. So whether it is,
Sir, in my humble view, if I read paragraph, however, this para, if we can read this para again.
Yeah.
It says, however, sometimes the invoice is obtained in the name of X and X is and accordingly, if paid by the consultant, reimbursed by the X. If paid by the consultant, is reimbursed by the X.
Agreed.
There could be another situation wherein X has obtained the invoice on his name and he is paying directly.
Yeah.
Now, in case of reimbursement, in this case,
Yes.
still the expense paid by the consultant is incurred wholly and exclusively for the purposes of rendering services to X. And the invoice is in the name of X. Reimbursement made by X, being the service recipient, will not be considered as benefit or perquisite for the purpose of section 194R. Correct? So now the stress is on the on whose name the invoice is there. If the invoice is on the name of consultant and the expenditure is reimbursed by the client, then it is benefit or perquisite. Whereas if I read this paragraph here, which starts with however, if the invoice is on the name of the client and the amount is paid by the consultant, and if client reimburses, then it is not benefit or perquisite under 194R. Third case, wherein the client has incurred and where the invoice is on the name of client and amount has also been paid by the client, then it will not fall under question number 7. But
I agree with you. I agree with you.
Sir?
Yeah.
But this question, no, this question solves many problem actually. Most of the travel expenses and most of the hotel expenses incurred by the company on consultants, no, will go out of the net of 194R by using this. We can ask the vendor to bill in the name of the company.
See, there, what I understand after reading question number 7, their discussion in question number 7, their concern is if, let's say, invoice is on the name of the client, correct? Then they agree that, client must have incurred, let's say, 20,000 rupees and, the invoice is very clearly mentioned 20,000. Let's not go into debate whether it would be the income of consultant or not. So let's keep it out of the ambit of keep out of it radar of the TDS net. Whereas in practice, we have seen many consultants will say that we will charge 5% of my total fee as reimbursement. We'll charge 10% of my total fee as reimbursement. So they do not want to check each and every situation, that whether you have invoice, whether you don't have invoice, whether the reimbursement is exactly equal to expense or not. So they simply said, if consultant is billing the reimbursement expenditure, and if you go back to, I think there was one FAQ came in 95 on 194J, whether the reimbursement is applicable or TDS is applicable on the reimbursement or not. I think there also department was of the view that we must collect TDS on reimbursement. But then the view started coming why we are not splitting the bill, and it went into the litigation. Now department has very clearly said that there could be a case that the consultant is billing most of his expenditure as reimbursement or some of his expenditure as reimbursement and trying to move out from the net of TDS. So now they are plugging the loophole that if consultant charges anything as a reimbursement, there would be a TDS very clearly. However, if the expenditure is incurred by the client itself, now that expenditure is exclusively for the client, then there is no matter the consultant will try to avoid the income. So they have kept that situation out of TDS Act. This is what I believe after reading question number 7. Hope I am clear on this. I think we can move ahead.
Yes.
Now let's move on.
सर गौरव भाई एक क्वेश्चन था, देखिए चूंकि ये सारा हुआ, चाहे इससे पहले वाला क्वेश्चन था जहाँ फ्री सैंपल की बात हुई, चाहे रीइंबर्समेंट वाली बात हुई, अब मैं थोड़ा सा क्वेश्चन थोड़ा सा आगे का पूछ रहा हूँ, आपसे डिस्कस कर रहा हूँ। बीइंग ए ऑडिटर, जब हम अगले साल की ऑडिट करेंगे और सेक्शन 194 आ चुका होगा, क्लाइंट के खर्चे में बहुत सारे एक्सपेंडिचर आएंगे, फ्री सैंपल्स के भी वो मिक्स होंगे और ट्रेवलिंग के, रीइंबर्समेंट्स के। अब कैसे इंश्योर किया जाए, या क्लाइंट को अभी से कैसे क्या बताया जाए कि हम अपने आप को इंश्योर कर सके कि टीडीएस प्रॉपर्ली कटा है और हमारी रिपोर्ट के हिसाब से हम क्या करें इसमें? थोड़ा सा
भाई देखो, ये जो मैं सेशन दे रहा हूँ ये इसलिए दे रहा हूँ कि मेरे सारे दोस्त, मेरे सारे clients, they get more equipped with section 194R. You do same presentation for your client. This video is available on YouTube. उसको आप दोबारा देख सकते हैं. Make your presentation and increase the awareness level of your client today. क्योंकि हम उसको आखिरी में करेंगे मार्च के बाद, तब तक तो घटना घट चुकी होगी. And you need to only report. So guide them today, and then tax audit के टाइम पे पूरा का पूरा डिटेल निकाल के जिन जिन अमाउंटों पे टीडीएस नहीं कटा वो सर्टेनली आपको चेक करना पड़ेगा. बट वो इट वुड डिपेंड अपॉन क्लाइंट टू क्लाइंट. सबको पता होता है कि कहाँ फ्री सैंपल्स जा रहे हैं, क्या फ्री सर्विसेज जा रही हैं, तो कहाँ पे आपको मेटेरियलिटी के हिसाब से फोकस करना है, कहाँ नहीं करना, दैट ऑल यू नीड टू सी. Okay, so let me move on to question number 8, which is the last question, though there are question number 10, but we moved on, we followed different sequence. Now we are on the last question, question number 8. If there is a dealer conference, what to do? Dealer conference to educate dealers about product of the company, is it benefit or perquisite? I think very well drafted reply, very well drafted answer to this. In nutshell, if they are coming to the conference to understand the product, okay, for the purpose of business, no problem. So new product being launched, discussion on how the product will work, obtaining orders, teaching sales technique, addressing queries, reconciliation of the accounts, no problem. It should they should come, they should gain knowledge, and they should go back. But if they are enjoying, if the conference, you want to keep it for let's say 1 day, but you are allowing your dealers to come 1 day before and stay there for 2 or 3 days more, then 1 day wala period we can remove from the benefit, but balance 2 days, 1 day before and 1 day later, will become a taxable. Dealers are allowed to come, but if dealers are coming with their wife, their kids, I think then you are extending the benefit or perquisite to your dealer. So whatever the expense you have incurred on their family, that will become taxable. If dealers you have invited in London for the conference in a particular hotel, they are allowed to visit to the hotel, stay there for a day, come back, and then come back to India. No pleasure, no leisure. They have only gone there to attend the conference. Probably it will not attract the TDS. But if you have arranged the bus for them, you want to move or take them to various parts of the London, you have planned in a conference such a way that it is leisure plus learning. The learning part not taxable, leisure part taxable. This is what broadly question number 8 wants to say. And certainly we're going to face a lot of challenges in how to structure our conferences and seminars and seminars and session. Let's see, but let's understand, the intention behind the question number 8. The expenditure pertaining to dealer business conference would not be considered as benefit perquisite for the purpose of section 194R of the Act. In a case where dealer business conference is held with the prime object to educate dealers, customers. Prime object is to educate dealers, customers about any of the following or similar aspects. New product being launched, discussion as to how the product is better than others, obtaining orders from dealers and customers, teaching sales techniques to dealers, customers, addressing queries of the dealer's customer, reconciliation of accounts with dealer's customers. However, such conference must not be in the nature of incentive benefits to select dealers' customers who have achieved particular targets. Very clearly. So if your objective is to give some benefit, we all know by heart when we want to teach and when we want to give the benefit. If we want to give the benefit, then 194R is there. We may have some litigation, we may have some different view in how to structure it, whether 194R is applicable or 194R is not applicable. Believe me, if we will apply our mind how to structure these transactions, then probably we will have another circular to clarify that this is included since beginning. So kindly be very clear that government wants to tax, and you must take care of this 194R provision. Further, in the following cases, the expenditure would be considered as benefit or perquisite for the purpose of section 194R of the Act. Expenses attributable to leisure trip or leisure component, even if it is incidental to dealer's business conference. Even if it is incidental. Expenditure incurred for family members accompanying the person attending dealer business conference. Expenditure on participants of dealer business conference for days which are on account of prior stay or over beyond stay. Sorry, the words are missing, but the words are prior stay or over beyond stay. Oh, sorry, prior stay or over beyond the date of such conferences. So in such case, if it is leisure and not the learning or any part of the leisure which has been given to the dealer or to their family members, because family members are certainly not learning out of any dealer conference, then the 194R would be applicable. And with this, I'm done with the circular. And if you have any question on 194R, section is new to all of us. We can discuss for, let's say, another 15-20 minutes. So any question on dealer conference first?
Sir, the simplicity provided by question number 7, no? I think it is confused by question number 8. But saying that leisure component has to be removed and prior stay and overstay has to be removed. Anybody will come to a conference one day before, no? They will, if conference is in Chennai, then the Bombay person will go there one day before, no? So it will be a prior stay. No?
Yeah, I agree. I think maybe, see, maybe, the intention is, can it be considered as a benefit or whether it was essential for a person to reach one day before. I think that could be the point of argument, but yes, certainly it will invite litigation.
So the same logic is applicable to the annual budget meeting, which normally every company holds, including where they are inviting the employees, senior level employees, and also consultants.
Employees are not, 194R is not applicable on employees.
No, consultants. The same meeting, consultants may also be invited. No? Yeah,
so again, I will say whether it is essential or whether it is leisure. I think something, let's say if the meeting will start at 10 a.m. in the morning and we know there is no flight, and even if there is a flight, it is at 4 o'clock. So we want our consultant and we want our participants to reach one day before. I think then one can argue that it is the essential thing for the success of the conference that we are there at 10 a.m. in the morning. So I think it will depend upon facts of the case. If the fact suggests that this part is essential, then probably we can move it out from 194R. But I am saying, tax officers may have their own view.
Okay.
Any other question on 194R?
Good evening, also. How are you?
I am good, Kuldeep bhai. How are you?
Good, sir. Long time connecting you. It was a very wonderful discussion. My lots of the doubts are cleared in the discussion only. I have two questions.
Sure.
The first one is whether waiver of a loan would be considered under 194R if I have a certain settlement with one of my customer. and I am waiving his balances, or I have given an advance to a customer, or I have given an advance to a vendor, and I'm waiving off that advance, whether would it come?
Circular wants you to deduct the TDS.
Okay. And the other
answer to question number 3.
Okay.
Kuldeep, you can check answer to question number 3.
Perfect. Perfect.
Okay. Any other question?
Yes. The other one is if see the meaning of benefit may be different and relative for the person who is receiving the benefit and I am giving the benefit. So supposedly in a situation where I have booked a certain leisure trips for a person as a licensing activity, and for me I have to deduct the TDS at the moment when I'm incurring the expenses, but the other person may accept or may not accept that gift. So in such situation, what would be the treatment of that particular, and that could be a dead loss for me.
पूछ के दो उसको. There would going to be a lot of practical challenges.
Yes.
So let's see how we all going to understand. As currently, if you go to the question number 5, which talks of the valuation, the valuation is the expense incurred by you in booking the leisure trip.
Yes, yes.
So question number 5 is clear on this.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
The company may incur many expenditures.
I would request all of you to kindly raise your hand and then let me allow you to ask the question. ऐसे बहुत गड़बड़ हो जाएगी. या अनुपम भाई.
So Gaurav, I had sent a message, but just a quick one. So what about the redemption of reward points of credit card company? A credit card company won't know whether a person is in business or salary, right?
Anupam bhai, I said I would be discussing cases which are applicable on masses. So credit card is a very specific case, and let the credit card company come to us for the opinion.
No problem. No problem. No problem. All right. Thank you.
Yes, Nikhil.
There is one phrase regarding directors in the section. So
correct. So that director, I have not gone through that case, but that director may not be the employee of the company. There are other examples also. For example, if you see the hospital wala example, wherein they said the work could be seen in the hands of the employees, wherein we are talking about giving the benefit to the company and distributor or further giving benefit to the employee. They clearly mentioned about section 17. So in my view, the director may be an independent director. I'm not sure on the facts of the case, but if director is an employee, then it will go to 17. If director is an independent director, then it may hit 28. Then it may hit 194R.
Okay. I was thinking for my company perspective. So both the directors are the employee of the company. So that will 17.2 will cover that.
No, the 192 mein TDS काटते हो ना निखिल. वो तो for employee it is 192.
No, there is like stock, if we are providing stock and car and that all. So that section clearly says about that thing only.
So see, 194R is applicable when anything is arising from business or exercise of profession. So whatever you are giving to a director, if they are employee, it is arising out of the employment and not because of the business or profession. So in my humble opinion, 194R is not applicable.
Okay. Thank you, Gaurav, for clearing.
Thank you. Devendra ji.
Gaurav ji, I have raised 2 queries. One is a live example where we do the audit and we go various places, various cities to do the audit. And generally nowadays tickets are booked by our employees directly, by the CA directly, and the bills are also in the name of the CA or the staff which is going for audit. And those are reimbursed by the client customer. In such case, 194 would be applicable, or it would be 194J, or nothing would be applicable on that reimbursement.
Sir, reimbursement pay TDS is applicable. 194R would be applicable on reimbursement, as clearly mentioned here. Luckily, TDS rate in both the sections are same, so it should not create much of the issue.
Even if we have an understanding with the client that those traveling expenses are not our, because just for the convenience we are booking it and we are getting it reimbursed.
Client needs to be repeated.
Second query I have raised with respect to GST. In answer to question number 5, at the last line, they have clarified that no, GST would not be included in the valuation part.
Correct.
Suppose I have purchased a car and given to someone.
I think there are two screens open. Their voice is bouncing back at your end.
Okay. Just a minute. So it is with respect to question number 5. At the end of the answer, it is written that GST would not be included in valuation. So what if the case I am purchasing a car and giving to the person as a benefit? So I can understand that it would not include GST of that car. Suppose car is purchased for 10 lakh, 2.8 lakh is the GST. There would not be TDS on 2.8 lakh. But to suppose there is a case of room, I am giving room to some of my business associate, and I have to charge the similar, I have to deduct TDS on the similar rates which I am offering to the customers. Here again, I have to exclude the GST. Something, it seems that I think that GST has to be excluded where it is to be purchased from someone, and then TDS would not be on that. Like we have other rules in GST that TDS would not be deducted on GST part. But if I am providing it as a fair market value, then fair market value includes GST also.
So I appreciate your point, and I think what you are saying logically is absolutely true, absolutely correct. So I am with you on the same. So wherein the final price to customers is, let's say, always inclusive of GST, then we should deduct TDS on the entire value, because that entire value becomes the benefit to the customer.
Right.
But you know what I will do, let me try to highlight this issue to the department. Let's see what clarification they will give on this. I appreciate, I agree with you on
Thank you. And last but not the least, I am again and again repeating that as we have a provision of this 194R and it is in kind generally, then in almost all of the cases we have to gross up the things.
Yes, if you're not collecting TDS amount from the client, then you need to gross up and pay to the government. This is what I understand.
Thank you, Ji. Thank you very much.
Yes, Uniji.
This section says this is provided, any services provided or Perquisite provided to a resident.
Yeah.
But here, suppose we have in a company, the director is a NRI, non-resident, but he is
independent director or employee?
No, not an employee. Independent director, but he is filing return in India due to other source of income, but he is a non-resident. Whether
so 194R would not be applicable.
It will be applicable only to resident.
Only to resident. If the recipient of benefit or perquisite is resident, then only it is applicable.
Clear. Thank you.
Yes, Dipali.
The company incurred many expenses like hotel bills or traveling expenses, incurred many types of expenses, and also deduct TDS. Sir, who will take credit, sir? To whom the party payment is made or to whom the benefit is incurred?
Let's take an example. I got your query. Correct me if I'm wrong. Let's say you have bought let's say I'm your consultant and you have booked a hotel room for me, correct? Not for the profession, not when it is not that I am coming to for the tax audit and you are booking room for me. Just like that, you have booked a room for me, correct? And now, as per 194R and as per 28.4, it needs to be seen the income of a consultant and not the hotel. So there could be scenario that you are booking, you are deducting TDS twice. Let's say when you are paying to the your supplier of benefit. Supplier of benefit, for example, let's say to the hotel and it meets certain condition. Now you need to deduct the TDS. You will deduct the TDS and deposit on the name of hotel. This is one part of the transaction if TDS is applicable. Or let's say you have taken a service of some professional which is a benefit which you will give to your vendors or to your distributors. So first part of the transaction, you need to deduct TDS because it is your expense and income of another person. You will deduct the TDS and deposit to the government account on the name of supplier of benefit or perquisite. This is one case. Second, now after taking that expense, after taking that benefit or perquisite, you want to give that benefit or perquisite to your distributors. Now, when you are giving that benefit or perquisite to your distributor, it is becoming income of those distributors. And because now it is becoming income of those distributors, now 194R says you need to deduct TDS and deposit to the government. So, wherein when it is acting as my expense, when it is coming as an input, then it will not fall under 194R. It will see other sections of given in the 17B. But wherein it is going as an output, when it is going to someone, then 194R would be applicable. Am I clear, Dipali?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Any other question? If anyone has any other question, feel free to raise the hand and we can take up those questions. I think no more queries left. I hope all of you liked the discussion, and I'm sure it should be useful to all of you. Thanks for sparing your time and joining the discussion. The discussion is available on my YouTube channel. You may please, if you want to watch it again, feel free to go to my YouTube channel and watch the discussion. And if you have any feedback, good or bad, please provide the same to me on my WhatsApp number, which is 9899994934. If you have any feedback for me, feel free to share your feedback with me. Gaurav is asking benefit to director by company for any time. See, if director is your employee, then it should not fall under 194R. But if director is not your employee, then it might fall under 194R. So those who want to watch this discussion again, it is available on my YouTube channel. I just shared it in the chat box. Thanks to all of you for joining. See you soon. Bye-bye. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks, Gaurav, for clearing the doubts.
Thank you. Thank you, Nikhilji.
हेलो
हाँ जी गौरव
सर, अगर एम्प्लॉइज को कुछ भी हम होटल का या एनी अदर कोई भी टूर आप दे रहे हैं डायरेक्टर के अलावा,
एम्प्लॉइज तो 194R में फॉलो ही नहीं करेंगे ना
सर। अदर देन अगर एज अ टैक्स प्रोफेशनल है या कोई डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर है, कोई हमारा ब्रोकर है, अदर देन एम्प्लॉय, वो कवर होगा इस सेक्शन में?
वो कवर होगा।
ओके ओके।